What is going on, YouTube people? Neo Cards and Comics here. Today to talk a little BGS. Gonna throw in a little CBCS as well because they had some news. I will save that for the end of the video. So for those that don't care about the comic book talk, but it does have some applications, I think, to Beckett as a whole, even though they're sister companies to each other. So BGS, and I should put a warning out there. Listen, a little trigger warning here. You know, if you're a BGS fanboy, this might not be the video for you. If you think you could submit the BGS and get black labels and that's a smart play, this might not be the video for you. With that warning out of the way, jokes, poking a little fun there. I like to poke some fun at the commenters on occasion. But anyways, BGS has reopened economy level service. This news came out, I believe, Thursday or Friday of last week, and I just didn't have a good opportunity to make a video on it. I teased it a little bit in yesterday's Sunday video. So what do we got going on here? Beckett economy, and I guess the real question is, we'll run through the details here. Does this matter, and does anyone really care other than the BGS homers? And we're going to run through some examples to see if this makes sense or not. It's open back up again. It is $35 with subgrades, $25 without subgrades. I don't know that it makes a ton of sense to grade with Beckett and not get the subgrades, just from a resale value standpoint. Usually naked labels, if you will, for lack of a better term, get hammered on pricing and are pretty difficult to move as well. So if you're going to grade with them, you might as well spend the extra $10 and get the subgrades. So for the purposes of this, we are going to assume $35 with subgrades. They do throw a little shade. It says no cap on max submissions, no cap on card value. So no declared value. That is one thing that I will give them as a plus. No membership required. So definitely some shade on PSA there on both of those. And then 90 to 120 business day turnaround. So that is 4 to 6 months turnaround time on these. So that's a little yikesy. They put a green check mark there. I'd put a red X there if I was them on that one. And then you can see down here, they comment with the pricing, $35 with subs, $25 without. So the advantages here are, one, Beckett does make sense for RPAs and stuff like that still, in my opinion. I think sending that stuff to PSA is typically a mistake, unless you're doing it for set registry purposes or something along that lines, or PC. And once again, if this stuff's for PC, everything I say does not matter. Do whatever the hell that you want. I am approaching this whole discussion, and 99% of the time when I talk about grading companies, it is around the notion of that you are grading to resell that card. It might not be as soon as you get it back in the mail, but maybe within 3 months, 6 months. Maybe you're grading football now to sell when the season starts, whatever. That is the perspective that we are taking. You are grading to resale, not for PC, not because you like the holder, whatever it is. This is, evil flipper mentality. So just keep that in mind. So $35, that's cool with no declared value. Also cool. So you could send some higher end stuff here at $35. The downside to this are, and the no membership required. So you save $100 there on the year with PSA. SGC, no membership. CSG does require membership, but I think you can get one as cheap as $25. And you actually, depending on what membership you can get some of that credited back as well. But SGC, no membership. PSA, for economy level service, you do need a membership. So $35. The turnaround time on this one is the killer to me. 90 to 120 days. So that's 4 to 6 months. Because once again, that is business days. That's a really long time. A lot of stuff could happen in 4 to 6 months. For context, PSA economy level is $50. And yes, you do need the $100 membership. They have been turning stuff at about 5 to 6 weeks, give or take. The maximum is 90 calendar days because they don't do business days anymore. They just give you straight days. So the maximum on a PSA economy order is 3 months. So even if it went the full term, it would still be a month to 3 months faster than BGS. Or a month to 3 months faster than BGS, depending on if they're hitting the 4 or 6 month range of that. So that's not too spectacular. Say you're a PSA hater, and a lot of people are, and I understand if you don't like PSA. I completely get it. They have their fair share of shenanigans, but they sell for the most. No denying that. and you don't want to use PSA, you still have SGC as an option. SGC, no membership fee required. You could submit to them for $30 a month, basically, or $30 a card. And they're pretty loosey-goosey on their declared value stuff. The other advantage here is lightning fast turnaround time. I had Peter on 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago now. I think he said they were sitting at about 16 business days. So let's, no offense, Peter, let's just give it a couple extra days and let's just call it 3 weeks door to door, heaven forbid. That is lightning fast. That's a couple weeks faster than PSA and $20 cheaper and months faster than BGS. So that's a big swing. And that's not like, oh, their maximum time right now is 3 weeks. You know what I mean? BGS is saying their maximum time is 6 months. PSA is saying their maximum time is 3 months. SGC is saying their maximum time is 3 weeks. Is a long vacation, basically. They are turning cards fast. CSGs, I don't have theirs up, or I don't know it off the top of my head. Theirs is also pretty quick right now. Now, with them, once again, you do need membership. I'm still not willing to go too crazy on CSG stuff. I'll let someone else do the experimenting there. I want to see some pricing comps. I want to do that video, but I also want to be fair to them and allow some more of the new slabs to hit the market so we have a better idea what that stuff's actually selling for. So it's $35 with a 4 to 6 month turnaround time. I just don't know that I see the use case for that. So I did pull some examples just so you guys and girls know that I'm not completely talking out of my butt. And I pulled a bunch of different stuff here. And what I basically went with was I tried to stay more modern to ultra modern, like things that you might reasonably be submitting raw to grade, whether it's pack pulled or maybe something you find at a show, whatever. So I ran through some market movers charts. And like I said, I basically picked these based off the fact that they had recent comps that I could compare to other grading companies. I tried to include SGC when I could, but in some cases, SGC didn't have a recent SGC 10 comp. So it's just BGS versus PSA, which I think is still a fair comparison. So over here, and we have a very wide range of cards here. This is just Justin Herbert base optic. Nothing fancy here at all, but a card you could very reasonably grade. So in a PSA 10, it goes for $250. So $50 to grade it, whatever your acquisition cost is on the card. $50 to grade it, you get it back in about, let's just call it 6 weeks. We'll give some more realistic turnaround times here. Let's call it 6 weeks, and it goes for $250. $50 to grade, okay. SGC 10, $30 to grade, you get it back in 3 weeks, goes for $145. So big difference there. $20, you save $20 on the grading fee, but you make a potential extra $100 on the actual flip itself. So to me, potential PSA card with the $50 grading available now, that's something you can take the risk on. Now, obviously, with most of these cards, if you catch a 9, you're probably losing money to breaking even on all of them. So I'm just looking at mint stuff here. BGS 9.5, 168, and these all sold pretty close to each other. The BGS 9.5 was 514, the SGC 10 was 514, the PSA 10 was 520, so fairly reasonable. That one went for 170, so slightly above the SGC. So the extra $5 on the grading side of things netted you an extra $20 on the sale price. Now the difference here is, and this is something that you need to keep in mind, how important is turnaround time to you? And that equation comes in for any of these. To me, I'm grading this card with PSA pretty much regardless. If for some reason I don't want to use PSA for whatever reason, I would go SGC here because so Beckett, you're going to have to pay an extra $5 to grade it. So you're down to $15 difference between the two. But the fact that I'm going to get the card back in 3 weeks versus, okay, let's give Beckett the benefit of the doubt. They list 4 to 6 months. Let's say they're turning it around in 3 months. So they're on the fast side of that and even a little bit ahead of the game. So a 3-month turnaround time, if you set this in today, you're getting it back in late August if you're lucky. If you send this to SGC Or PSA, you're getting it back by 4th of July, most likely. SGC for sure, you're going to have it back mid-June. PSA, let's say you get it back early July. It just gives you more options to get out of the card. So that's, to me, the biggest factor on the BGS thing is, one, BGS 9.5s have just been getting hammered on comps, and it seems to be getting worse, not better. And two, that 4 to 6 month turnaround time is atrocious and is going to kill, in my opinion, a lot of the reason to use them. Let's look at another one. Same card, Burrow, base optic, same situation here. PSA 10 going for $255. BGS 9.5 going for $175. Cost you an extra $15 to grade with PSA, but you're making an extra $75 off the get, so then that's only a $60 difference, give or take, and you're getting the card back faster. So I'm going to spend a little bit more. I get the card back faster, and it sells for more. No brainer. Herbert base Prism, SGC 10 goes for $220, a PSA 10 goes for $330, and a BGS 9.5 goes for $250. So once again, same thing here. If I'm just going for max resale value, I'm probably going to PSA this. It's an $80 difference. So for an extra $15, I make an extra $60 to $65, and I'm getting it back faster. And then if I didn't want to use PSA, then you come down here to this next level. So I lose $30, save $5 on the grading. So I'm eating $25 of profit, but I'm getting the card back in 3 weeks instead of 3 months. Once again, I'm giving Beckett the benefit of the doubt there. I know SGC is turning it at 3-week turnaround time right now. A little bit of a bigger card. And the bigger the cards you get, the less sense it makes to go the other route. PSA 10 Silver Zion goes for $1450. BGS 9.5, $725. So a massive difference there. Now, do keep in mind, I'll play fair here. With the PSA card, you would need to submit this at the $100 regular service level. You would not be able to get away with this at the $50 economy level because of their declared values. So you're paying an extra $70 to grade, or $65 to grade with PSA, but you're making an extra $700. So 600 and what would that be? $50, $60 profit on the PSA to BGS. And I'm getting it back even faster now because I'm paying for regular service. I think PSA regular service is running at like 3 weeks as opposed to 3 months with Beckett. So keep that in mind. So just another example, when you get higher up, that gap really is wide now on PSA 10s, the BGS 9.5s. And, let me say this. If you're buying cards, I would love to buy BGS 9.5s. I'll buy BGS 9.5s all day long. It doesn't make sense, in my opinion, to use them to submit raw cards to grade unless it's one of those niche cards like an RPA, maybe a PMG or something with a really bad corner or really off-centered. Like you think centering alone is going to push it to a 9 with PSA or SGC, but maybe with Beckett, you could catch that, 9 centering or 8.5 centering and still squeak out a 9 or a 9.5 on it. Just kind of depending. You could kind of cheat those grades a half a level higher sometimes on Beckett because of the games you could play with the subgrades. 2 more examples. Wander Franco, first Bowman Chrome Auto. This is the base non-refractor, and this is what Beckett is known for, is Bowman Chrome Autos. BGS 9.5 goes for just under $2,000. PSA 10 goes for just over $3,300. So once again, you would need to pay a little bit of a higher fee to grade this with PSA, but you're talking about a $1,300, almost $1,400 price difference between the two in comps. And yeah, I'm not factoring in shipping and insurance to and fro and all that jazz because let's be honest, it's basically going to be the same. Regardless which grading company you use, you got to send it to them. So you're going to have to pay to ship it, insurance, whatever, if you're using a group submitter, whatever you're doing. One last one, Luka Silver Prism. PSA 10 goes for $3K. BGS 9.5 goes for $1,550. $2,950 technically on the PSA 10. Let's just round up here and call this a $1,400 price difference. Once again, you would have to pay a little bit more to grade this than the $50 economy level, but you're still coming out way ahead because of the massive difference in price, resale value. So even though you can't even access the PSA economy level for this card, it still makes sense to pay more with PSA than the $35 with Beckett, get it back faster, and have it sell for astronomically more. And like I said, I would have included SGC in these results if I could have. There just weren't sales with these, and I was more concerned with the Beckett to PSA thing. Generally speaking, depending on the card, SGC 10s usually sit right at or right below BGS 95s. Sometimes even right above. There's like a little, basically assume an SGC 10 is 10% above or below a BGS 95 is kind of where things comp out at right now, in my opinion, from what I'm seeing. An SGC 10 floats right around there. I still do think BGS 95s might be a little bit more liquid than an SGC 10 in regards to laying it out in the case. But I think Narrative Street could be changing on that a little bit. I'd like to get some dealer perspectives on that. And then, so that's pretty much it for the card stuff. Like I said, Beckett's opened this up. I just don't know what the use case for it is. I really don't. I like Beckett slabs to a degree. I like buying Beckett cards. I definitely like buying Beckett cards. One of my favorite LeBron cards is in a Beckett slab, and that's one that they cheated to get a BGS 8.5 instead of an 8, like it probably should have got with anybody else. So, we'll see what happens if this moves the needle at all. And then, the elephant in the room that we've all been talking about for it feels like an eternity now is what happens when PSA lowers prices. Who knows? There was a really good discussion at the end of the 2-year live stream. It was very, very late into that. I might clip that out and post it maybe tomorrow as its own thing where we went roundtable with guesses on what PSA pricing will be. We'll see. Maybe I'll sneak in and give that a little clippity clip. It's like 8 minutes long or something. I don't remember how long we talked about it for, but it was very, very deep into the 2-year live stream that we did on Wednesday night. And I know a lot of people probably didn't see it. So I might clip that out and post it as its own thing. Last thing I want to touch on while we're talking Beckett stuff, CBCS, which is the sister company to Beckett. It's their comic book grading division. So CBCS, I would equate them to like an SGC compared to CGC, which is like PSA. There's quite a big price gap between the two of them and liquidity as well. Much like you see on the sports card side, CGC slabs move a lot easier, and you could typically get more of a premium for them. I've heard some people say that they could get close to CGC pricing for CBCS books, but you have to be extremely patient. So just kind of depending on what you're doing. But, and this is why I kind of compared them to SGC, a lot of people's big draw was this Steve Borak, and he is the one that is leaving to go work for mycomicshop.com. The way that I understand it, and once again, I've never used CBCS, I've never bought a CBCS book. I typically won't even look at them. I just only look at CGC. The vibes that I get for people that I've talked to in the comic book community, they talk about Steve, like the sports card, like the SGC people talk about Peter. Very, very popular. People wanted to send to them to grade just based on the fact that he was the head grader. He was running the ship. Once again, much like Peter at SGC. He's not the head grader in this case, but people just really like the way that he leads the company, is the face of the company, have a lot of faith in him. It was the same exact situation with Steve as the vibes that I got from the comic book community people that I talked to. So he is leaving them to go work on mycomicshop.com, which is one of the biggest comic book sellers out there. I think he's going to do something with consignment for them. So just interesting that, we've criticized Beckett quite a bit across the hobby in general over just their lack of communication. And it seems like things aren't maybe going quite as swimmingly on the comic book side either. I know they are really, really plagued with backlogs, like really, really plagued, like a year behind on some stuff. And then to see this move as well, when basically the face of your company is leaving to go work on the retail side, is an interesting move. So anyone from the comic book world, if you have thoughts on Steve leaving CBCS, feel free to leave them in the comments down below. I know a couple of the comic book content creators that I watched did some pretty good videos on this. Reggie from Reggie Collects did one. Journos from Journos Pop Culture did one. I don't remember if Swaggle House talked about it or not. He may have. I watched so many of them. It was getting hard to keep track of them all, but Swags might have did one too. So yeah, just interesting stuff on there on the other side of the coin that, things, just not a good look when you lose the face of your company like that. it definitely hurts consumer confidence for sure. There was a lot of like, clickbaity titles of, is this it for CBCS? Are they done now? CGC forever, death blow, stuff like that floating around. So, but yeah, that's all I got for you guys and girls today. So Beckett's open. If that's your thing, do it to it. If you're grading the sell, I don't know that it makes a ton of sense still. But as always, it's a changing landscape. We'll see what happens. Smash the like button if you haven't. Subscribe if you're not. Leave me a comment down below if you have any questions, comments, or concerns. And we'll catch you guys and girls on the next one. Peace.